The vow she never broke, a story of romance, betrayal, and ultimate revenge, the shocking betrayal, the text that destroyed everything. Welcome to Crownfire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The champagne glass slipped from Elena Marsh's fingers, shattering against the marble floor of the penthouse she'd spent 3 years decorating. The sound echoed through the empty space, but not as loudly as the words she'd just read on her husband's phone. Can't wait until she's finally gone. Then we can stop pretending. The message sat beneath a photo she'd never seen before, her husband Marcus wrapped around a woman Elena knew too well. Sophia Chen, her best friend since college, her maid of honor, the woman who'd held Elena's hand through her mother's funeral just 6 months ago. Elena's hands trembled as she scrolled up, watching 3 years of her marriage rewrite itself in brutal honesty. Secret meetings disguised as business trips. Late nights at the office that were actually hotel rooms. The fertility treatments Elena had endured alone, while Marcus claimed he was too stressed to attend appointments. He'd been with Sophia instead. The anniversary surprise 6 hours earlier, Elena had been glowing with excitement. Their 3rd wedding anniversary deserved something special. Something that would remind Marcus why he'd married her. She'd spent weeks planning tonight's surprise dinner, had even left work early to prepare his favorite meal. That's when she'd noticed his phone lighting up on the kitchen counter. Marcus never left his phone behind. Never. The preview on the screen showed Sophia's name and a text that made Elena's stomach drop. I told you I could get her to take the fall. The papers are ready. Elena had unlocked his phone. She still knew the password, their wedding date, and discovered an entire life she'd been blind to. A whole relationship built in the shadows of her marriage. The woman who gave everything Elena had met Marcus Thornton at a charity gala 5 years ago. He'd been Manhattan's most eligible bachelor, handsome, wealthy, charming. She'd been a struggling architect working 80-hour weeks to prove herself in a male-dominated firm. He'd pursued her relentlessly, flowers every day, handwritten notes, grand gestures that made her feel like the only woman in the world. When he proposed after 2 years, she'd said yes without hesitation. For Marcus, Elena had sacrificed her dream job in Paris. She'd put her career on hold when he asked her to focus on building their home, on planning for the family they'd create together. She'd trusted him when he suggested she leave her firm to freelance. More flexibility for when they had children, he'd said. She'd trusted him with everything. And he'd used it all against her. The devastating discovery Elena's legs gave out, and she sank onto the leather couch Marcus had insisted on buying. Her mind raced through memories, re-examining every moment with this new, terrible clarity. Sophia had always been there. At their wedding, smiling behind Elena as they exchanged vows. At their anniversary dinners, laughing at Marcus's jokes. During Elena's miscarriage last year, holding her while she cried. Had Sophia gone straight from comforting Elena to Marcus's arms? The phone buzzed in Elena's shaking hands. Another message from Sophia. The property transfers went through. Her accounts will be frozen by morning. Did you tell her about the prenup amendments yet? Elena's blood turned to ice. She scrambled to open her laptop, logging into accounts that had always been taken care of by Marcus. Joint accounts she'd trusted him to manage. Empty. All of them. The money her grandmother had left her. gone. The savings from her freelance work transferred out. Even the trust fund her father had established before he died, carefully protected for years. Somehow Marcus had gained access. Elena's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up documents she'd signed without reading carefully. The prenup they'd had amended last year, when Marcus said it was just a formality for his business expansion. The power of attorney she'd granted him during her grief after her mother's death. The property transfers she'd approved, thinking they were reorganizing assets for tax purposes. He'd been planning this for over a year, methodically stripping away everything she had while she played the devoted wife, trusting him completely. The man behind the mask, Elena, heard the apartment door open. Marcus's voice called out, smooth and confident, "Elena? I'm home early. Thought we could celebrate our anniversary properly tonight." She looked up to find him standing in the doorway, holding a bouquet of white roses, her favorite. His expression was warm, loving, the same expression she'd trusted for 5 years. "How long?" Elena's voice came out steady, despite the rage building in her chest. Marcus's smile faltered. His eyes dropped to the phone in her hand, and she watched his mask slip. Just for a second, she saw cold calculation flash across his features before the concerned husband expression returned. "Elena, what are you talking about? How long have you been sleeping with Sophia?" Elena stood, phone clutched so tightly her knuckles turned white. "How long have you been stealing from me?" Marcus's jaw tightened. Then, to Elena's shock, he laughed, not nervous or apologetic, genuinely amused. "Stealing?" He dropped the roses on the entry table, loosening his tie. "Elena, you can't steal what already belongs to you. Everything you had became mine the day you signed those papers. I trusted you. I know." Marcus poured himself a scotch, completely relaxed now that the pretense was over. "That was the point. You were so desperate to believe in our fairy tale romance that you signed whatever I put in front of you." Elena felt like she was seeing her husband for the first time. This cold, calculating stranger wearing Marcus's face. "The fertility treatments," Elena whispered. "You never wanted children with me. God, no." Marcus's disgust was genuine. "Can you imagine tying myself to you permanently? Sophia and I have been planning our real life together for 3 years. We just needed time to transfer everything properly. Why marry me at all? Because you were perfect, Elena." Marcus stepped closer, and Elena forced herself not to retreat. Young, naive, recently orphaned with a nice inheritance. No family to ask inconvenient questions. So desperate for love after your parents died that you'd believe anything. The best friend's betrayal, the door opened again. Sophia walked in like she owned the place. Designer heels clicking against the marble Elena had chosen. "Did you tell her?" Sophia's voice held none of the warmth Elena remembered. She looked at Elena without guilt, without remorse, only mild inconvenience at having to deal with this scene. "Just now," Marcus said, pulling Sophia close and kissing her with the passion Elena hadn't felt from him in months, maybe ever. Elena watched them, her best friend and her husband, and felt something inside her crystallize. Not breaking, hardening. "I held your hair back when you had food poisoning," Elena said to Sophia. "I helped you study for the bar exam. I introduced you to every professional contact I had." Sophia shrugged. "And I helped Marcus identify all your assets. We make a good team." "How much?" Elena asked. "How much did he promise you?" "Half of 12 million. Sophia smiled. "Plus this penthouse, once the divorce is finalized. He's already filed the papers, by the way. You'll be served tomorrow." On our anniversary. Poetic, isn't it? Marcus finished his scotch. You should probably leave tonight, Elena. This is awkward for everyone. The moment of truth, Elena looked around the penthouse. 3 years of her life poured into these walls. The art she'd collected, the furniture she'd chosen, the home she'd built, believing it was theirs. You think you've won, Elena said quietly. We have won. Marcus's confidence was absolute. You have nothing. No money, no career, no family. Even your professional reputation is about to be destroyed. I've made sure the industry knows you've been unstable lately. All that grief over your mother, the failed fertility treatments, the stress. People will understand why I had to protect myself. Elena felt rage so pure it burned away every other emotion. But she didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't give them the satisfaction. Instead, she smiled. You made one mistake, Marcus. What's that? You thought I was weak. Elena picked up her purse, walking toward the door with her head high. You confused trust with weakness, kindness with stupidity. You saw what I chose to show you and believed that was all I was. She paused at the door, looking back at the 2 people who'd destroyed her life. I'm my father's daughter, and my father didn't build a $50 million construction empire by being naive. Elena's smile sharpened. You wanted everything I had? Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it while it lasts. Empty threats, Sophia said, but Elena caught the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. We'll see. Elena walked out, letting the door close softly behind her. The plan forms in the elevator. Elena finally let her hands shake, let the tears come. But only for 30 seconds. Only until the elevator reached the ground floor. Then she wiped her eyes, straightened her shoulders, and pulled out her phone. The text messages were still there. The evidence of everything Marcus and Sophia had done. But that was just the beginning. Elena dialed a number she'd hoped never to use. A private investigator her father had kept on retainer. A woman who specialized in cases others wouldn't touch. Miss Rivera, this is Elena Marsh. I need to discuss a very delicate matter. I was wondering when you'd call, came the reply. Your father asked me to keep an eye on Marcus Thornton 3 years ago. I have files you need to see. Elena's breath caught. My father knew? He suspected. But he died before he could act on it. I've been collecting evidence since then, waiting for you to be ready to see the truth. The inheritance secret Elena met Miss Rivera in a coffee shop 3 blocks from the penthouse. The investigator slid a thick folder across the table. Everything's in here. Marcus Thornton's real financial situation, he's broke, has been for 2 years. His company is on the verge of bankruptcy. That's why he targeted you. Elena's hands trembled as she opened the folder. Bank statements showing millions in debt, business deals that had collapsed, lawsuits from investors Marcus had defrauded. Sophia, she brought him the idea. They met at a conference 2 years before you did. Everything about your relationship was calculated. My father's trust fund protected. Miss Rivera smiled. Your father wasn't as naive as Marcus thought. The trust has clauses Marcus doesn't know about. If there's evidence of fraud in your marriage, everything reverts to your control, plus penalties. How much? 50 million. Your father's estate was larger than Marcus realized. He only saw the initial inheritance, not the trust that matured on your 30th birthday. Elena's birthday was in 2 weeks. There's more, Miss Rivera continued. Sophia Chen has been disbarred in 2 other states under different names. She's a professional con artist. Marcus isn't her first target. Elena felt something click into place. The weak, grieving woman Marcus had manipulated was gone. In her place sat someone her father had raised, A woman who understood that success in business meant thinking 10 steps ahead. "What do you need from me?" Elena asked. Time to gather more evidence. And patience. Marcus thinks he's won. Let him believe it. How long? 2 weeks. Until your birthday, when the trust matures. Then we end them both. The cliffhanger. Elena walked out of that coffee shop a different woman. Her phone buzzed. A message from Marcus's lawyer confirming she'd been officially served with divorce papers. She smiled. Marcus had made his move. Now it was her turn. But as Elena reached her hotel room, the one place Marcus didn't know about, she found something that made her blood run cold. A manila envelope sat on the bed. Inside, photos of her meeting with Miss Rivera. Recent photos, taken less than an hour ago. A note in familiar handwriting. "Did you really think I wouldn't have you followed? The game's not over, Elena. It's just getting interesting." Elena's hands shook as she checked her room, finding the tiny camera hidden in the smoke detector. They'd been watching her. Still were watching her, and now they knew she was planning something. Elena looked directly at the camera, letting Sophia and Marcus see the determination in her eyes. If they wanted to play games, she'd play. But by her rules now. The real revenge was just beginning. Heartbreak and revenge, the strategic retreat. Elena ripped the camera from the smoke detector and crushed it beneath her heel. Then she gathered her belongings and left the hotel within minutes, paying cash for a room at a small boutique inn 40 blocks away under a fake name. Her phone buzzed constantly, Marcus's lawyer demanding responses, Sophia sending taunting messages, even some of their friends texting to say they'd heard about the breakdown Elena was having. She turned the phone off. Everything from here forward had to be calculated, precise. No emotional reactions, no mistakes. At 2 a.m., Elena sat in her new hotel room, Miss Rivera's files spread across the bed. She read every page, absorbing every detail of Marcus's fraudulent schemes, Sophia's pattern of targeting wealthy spouses, the web of lies that had trapped her. But as she read, Elena began to see something else. Opportunities, weaknesses in their plan, assumptions they'd made that weren't quite accurate. The unexpected ally. The next morning, Elena received a visitor. The hotel clerk called up nervously. "Miss Reeves? There's a gentleman here to see you. He says it's about your husband." Elena almost didn't go down. But curiosity and the need to know if Marcus had found her drove her to the lobby. The man waiting wasn't Marcus. He was young, Asian, impeccably dressed, with eyes that held barely contained fury. "Mrs. Thornton? I'm David Chen, Sophia's brother." Elena's defenses slammed up. "If you're here to defend what she did, I'm here to help you destroy her." David's voice was ice. "My sister has been using our family name to con people for 5 years. She's cost us millions in settlements and legal fees. When I heard she'd targeted you, I knew it was time to stop her." "Why would you help me?" "Because she destroyed my engagement last year." David's jaw tightened. "Seduced my fiancé, embezzled from my company, and framed me for fraud. It took 6 months to clear my name. When I heard about your situation, I did some research." He pulled out his phone, showing Elena a photo. Marcus and Sophia, taken 2 months ago, meeting with 2 other couples. Those are her next targets. Marcus isn't her first partner. She's run this scam 3 times before. Different cities, different identities, always targeting women who've recently inherited money. Elena studied the photo, her mind racing. "You have evidence? 5 years' worth?" Bank records, communications, testimonies from her previous victims. I've been building a case to bring her down, but I needed something conclusive. Something that would stick. The trust fund, Elena breathed. If she attempts to access my father's trust, she commits federal fraud. Not civil court, not settlements, actual prison time. David's smile was sharp. We just need to let her try. The dangerous game Elena spent the next 3 days working with David and Miss Rivera, crafting a trap so perfect that Marcus and Sophia wouldn't see it coming until it was too late. The plan was risky. It required Elena to appear broken, desperate, willing to negotiate anything to save scraps of her former life. It required her to feed them information that would make them confident enough to make their final move. "You're sure about this?" Miss Rivera asked on the 3rd night. "Once you commit, there's no going back. If they catch on, they could clean out everything and disappear." "They already think they've won," Elena said. "That's their weakness. They can't imagine I could outmaneuver them." David nodded. "Marcus is arrogant. Sophia's confident, because this has always worked before. But they've never dealt with someone who has resources they don't know about." Elena looked at her father's picture on her phone. "My dad always said the best revenge is making someone destroy themselves." The false surrender on day 4, Elena called Marcus's lawyer and requested a meeting. She came alone, looking exhausted and defeated, wearing clothes that hung loose on her frame from days of barely eating. Marcus was there, looking victorious. Sophia sat beside him, playing the concerned friend. "Elena," Sophia said with fake sympathy, "you look terrible. Are you sleeping?" "I want to settle," Elena said, voice breaking. "Just let me keep something. Anything." Marcus's lawyer slid papers across the table. "Mr. Thornton is willing to offer you $50,000 and your personal belongings. In exchange, you waive all claims to marital assets. 50,000 out of the millions that should have been hers." Elena pretended to cry. "That's not enough. I have no job, no. You should have thought of that before you stopped taking your medication," Marcus interrupted coldly. "The evidence of your mental instability is overwhelming. Be grateful we're offering anything at all." Elena looked up, letting them see tear-filled eyes. "What about my father's trust?" Something flickered in Sophia's expression, greed barely contained. "The trust you mentioned is under marital assets," Marcus's lawyer said smoothly. "Mr. Thornton has legal claim to half." "No." Elena's voice came out strangled. "That's my father's legacy. Please. Anything but that." "Then accept our offer," Marcus said. 50,000 and the trust is yours." Elena's hands shook as she picked up the pen. David's warning echoed in her mind. They need to think they're getting the trust. The moment they try to access it, we have them. "I need time," Elena whispered, "to read this properly." "You have 24 hours, Sophia said, unable to hide her eagerness. After that, the offer drops to 25,000. The birthday surprise, Elena's 30th birthday, arrived with unexpected gray skies and rain that matched her mood. She spent the morning in her hotel room, reviewing David's evidence files one more time. At noon, her phone rang, the bank her father had used for the trust. "Ms. Marsh, this is Caroline Hayes from First Metropolitan Trust Division. Your father's trust has fully matured as of midnight. We need to schedule a meeting to transfer control of the assets." "What about my husband?" "He filed for control as marital property. Mr. Thornton's claim was reviewed and denied. The trust structure your father established specifically protects against fraud claims in marriage. We've also been monitoring account access attempts. Mr. Thornton and a Miss Sophia Chen tried to transfer funds this morning using forged documentation." Elena's heart raced. "They did what?" We have them on security footage. They're currently being detained by federal authorities for attempted fraud. The FBI is requesting you come to our office to provide testimony. This was it. The trap had worked. Elena called Miss Rivera. They took the bait. I know. I'm already at the FBI office with David. They arrested Sophia and Marcus 2 hours ago. Turns out Marcus also had outstanding warrants for securities fraud in 3 states. He's not getting bail. The truth revealed the FBI office was cold and sterile. Elena sat across from Agent Morrison, a woman with sharp eyes who'd been investigating Sophia for months. Your timing was perfect, Agent Morrison said. We've been trying to catch Sophia Chen, or whatever her real name is, for 2 years. She's wanted in 5 states under different identities. What happens now? Federal charges. Wire fraud, identity theft, forgery. Marcus Thornton is looking at 15 to 20 years. Sophia's facing similar, possibly more with her record. Elena should have felt satisfaction. Instead, she felt empty. What about my money? The assets Marcus stole will be frozen and returned. You'll need to work with the court, but you should recover everything, plus damages. David appeared in the doorway. There's more. Sophia kept records of all her cons, insurance in case Marcus ever tried to betray her. She had detailed files on 9 other women she scammed. The FBI can now reopen all those cases. 9 other women? Elena's voice cracked. How many lives did they destroy? That we know of? 12, including you. Agent Morrison's expression softened. But you're the first one who fought back effectively enough to stop them. The confrontation Elena insisted on seeing them before they were transferred. Agent Morrison hesitated but finally agreed to arrange it. Marcus was brought in first, wearing an orange jumpsuit that made him look small and defeated. The confidence was gone, replaced with barely controlled rage. You think you're smart? Marcus snarled. You think this is over? I'll tie this up in courts for years. I'll ruin you. With what money? Elena asked calmly. Your company's bankrupt. Your assets are frozen. Your lawyers dropped you the moment they realized you couldn't pay. Sophia's turning on you. She's negotiating a plea deal right now, offering to testify against you in exchange for a reduced sentence. Elena watched the realization hit him. The woman he'd betrayed Elena for was betraying him the exact same way. You deserved better, Elena said. Not from me, from yourself. You could have built something real, been someone real. Instead, you chose to be a thief and a liar. I loved you, Marcus said desperately. In the beginning, I really did. No, Elena stood. You loved what you thought you could take from me. That's not the same thing. The final twist Sophia was next. She looked smaller somehow, stripped of her designer clothes and practiced charm, but her eyes still held calculation. I could help you, Sophia said immediately. I know where Marcus hid money. Offshore accounts the FBI doesn't know about. I could help you get more. I don't want more, Elena said. I want justice. Justice? Sophia laughed bitterly. We're not so different, you and I. We both wanted what we couldn't have. No. Elena leaned forward. I worked for what I had. You stole it. I took opportunities when I saw them. Just like your father did. You think he built his empire honestly? Please. My father was a businessman. Ruthless sometimes, but honest. You're a criminal. There's a difference. Sophia's mask cracked. You know what your mistake was? Being too good. Too trusting. The world doesn't reward that, Elena. It eats people like you alive. Is that what you tell yourself? Elena stood. That everyone's corrupt, so it's okay that you are? That everyone would do what you did if they could? Wouldn't they? No. Elena's voice rang with certainty. Most people have enough character not to destroy someone who loved them. Most people have enough humanity not to betray their best friend for money. Love. Sophia spat the word like a curse. You still believe in fairy tales. Marcus and I at least understood reality, and that reality just got you 15 years in federal prison. The unexpected emotion Elena left the FBI office shaking. She'd wanted to feel triumphant, vindicated. Instead, she felt hollow. David walked beside her silently until they reached the parking garage. You did the right thing, he said finally. Then why do I feel like I lost something? Because you did. You lost the life you thought you had, the people you thought you knew. Winning doesn't erase that. Elena looked at this stranger who'd helped her, this man whose own sister had betrayed him. How did you get through it? I'm still getting through it. David's smile was sad. But some days are easier than others, and eventually you rebuild something new, something real this time. I don't know how to start over. Yes, you do. David pulled out a business card. Your father's architectural firm, did you know he left you his shares? They've been held in trust, waiting for you. The company's been looking for a lead architect, someone with vision. And integrity. Elena took the card with shaking hands. He left me the company, among other things. Miss Rivera has the full details of your inheritance. Turns out your father protected everything that mattered. He just needed you to be strong enough to claim it. The media storm the story broke the next morning. Manhattan power couple arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Elena's face was everywhere. The wronged wife, the brave victim who'd fought back. Her phone exploded with messages, reporters wanting interviews, old friends apologizing for believing Marcus's lies, job offers from firms who'd heard she was available. And one message that made her pause, I saw the news. I'm so sorry for what you went through. If you ever need to talk. James Mitchell, her college boyfriend, the one she'd left for Marcus. The one who'd told her Marcus seemed too good to be true. Elena stared at the message for a long time, then she turned off her phone. Not yet. She wasn't ready for that yet. The real victory a week later, Elena stood in her father's old office. Her office now. The firm her father had built, the legacy he'd protected, was hers. Miss Rivera had provided the full accounting. The trust wasn't just $50 million, it was $75 million, including her father's company shares and properties. Marcus had never seen the full picture, had never realized how thoroughly Elena's father had protected her. He knew, Miss Rivera said, standing beside Elena. Your father suspected Marcus was wrong from the beginning. Every document he had you sign, every trust amendment. They all protected you. He just needed you to be ready to see the truth. Elena felt tears slip down her cheeks. I wish he was here. He is, in every protection he built, every safeguard he put in place. He knew you were strong enough to survive this. He just had to make sure you had the tools when you were ready. Elena looked out over the Manhattan skyline. Marcus and Sophia were in federal custody. Her accounts were restored. Her reputation was intact. Better than intact, actually. She was being called courageous, strong, inspirational. But the real victory wasn't the money or the vindication. It was standing in her father's office, understanding for the first time that she'd never been the weak, naive woman Marcus had thought he was manipulating. She'd been her father's daughter all along, strong, intelligent, patient enough to wait for the right moment to strike. What now? Miss Rivera asked. Elena smiled. Now I build something they can never touch. Something real. The final cliffhanger that night, Elena returned to the penthouse for the first time since she'd left. The locks had been changed. It was legally hers now, seized as part of Marcus's assets. She walked through rooms that felt like a museum of lies. The art Marcus had insisted on buying, forged. The furniture Sophia had helped choose, rented. Even the photos on the walls were staged. Professional shots that made their marriage look perfect. Elena began removing everything. Every lie, every false memory. By midnight, the penthouse was empty except for one thing. The wedding photo she'd loved. The one that had seemed perfect. She looked at the young woman in the white dress, so happy and naive, and felt a pang of grief for the life that woman had thought she was building. Then Elena did something she'd been holding back for weeks. She put on her father's favorite symphony and danced around the empty penthouse, crying and laughing and finally letting herself feel everything. When the music ended, Elena felt lighter, freer, ready to begin again. Her phone rang, unknown number. Elena Marsh? Speaking. This is Detective Sarah Chen with Manhattan PD. I need to speak with you about your husband immediately. What about him? Marcus Thornton escaped federal custody 3 hours ago. He left a message specifically for you. Elena's blood turned to ice. What message? Tell Elena the game isn't over. She took everything from me. Now I'm taking everything from her. Starting tonight. The line went dead. Elena spun, suddenly aware of how alone she was in the empty penthouse, how isolated, how vulnerable. Outside, thunder rumbled. The lights flickered once, twice. Then they went out completely, plunging Elena into darkness. And somewhere in that darkness she heard it, the sound of footsteps approaching. The ultimate payback the hunt begins. Elena's heart hammered as she backed away from the window. The footsteps were getting closer, deliberate and unhurried. She grabbed her phone, but there was no signal. The building's power outage had killed the cell tower repeater. She wasn't defenseless, though. Elena had learned something during the weeks of investigation. Fear could be useful if you controlled it. The footsteps stopped outside her door. Elena held her breath, watching the doorknob turn slowly. She'd changed those locks. Whoever was out there had a key. The door opened. A figure stepped through, silhouetted against the emergency lighting from the hallway. Elena? David Chen's voice. Thank God. Are you okay? Elena nearly collapsed with relief. David? How did you get in? Detective Chen called me after she called you. I have building security access through my company. We manage several properties here. He flipped on a flashlight app illuminating his face. We need to go. Now. Marcus, I know. The FBI thinks he had help escaping. They're reviewing security footage, but they think it was someone inside. Elena's blood ran cold. Sophia. She's still in custody, but she made phone calls yesterday. To numbers the FBI couldn't trace. David moved toward her. We have to assume Marcus has resources we didn't know about. The safe house. David drove Elena to a high-security apartment building in Brooklyn, owned by his family's company. The apartment was on the 15th floor, with security cameras everywhere and guards in the lobby. You'll be safe here, David said, checking the windows and door locks. My team swept it twice. No bugs, no cameras, no way for Marcus to find you. How long do I have to hide? The FBI issued a federal warrant. Marcus can't stay hidden long. Every cop in the tri-state area is looking for him. Elena sank onto the couch, exhaustion finally catching up with her. This was supposed to be over. It is over. He's desperate now, which makes him dangerous but also reckless. He'll make a mistake. A knock on the door made them both jump. David checked the security screen, then relaxed. "It's Miss Rivera." The investigator entered carrying a laptop and files. "I have news. Bad and worse." "Give me the bad first," Elena said. Marcus accessed one of his offshore accounts. $2 million. Moved through 3 countries in 6 hours. He has resources to run. And the worse? Miss Rivera's expression darkened. He posted on an encrypted forum offering $500,000 to anyone who can retrieve you. He's put a bounty on your head. The room went silent. Elena felt the walls closing in. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. Marcus was trying to reclaim control the only way he had left, through violence. "The FBI knows?" David asked. "Yes. They've assigned protective custody, but Elena refused." Both David and Miss Rivera looked at Elena. "I'm not hiding," Elena said firmly. "I've spent months being reactive, responding to what Marcus and Sophia did. I'm done with that. It's time to end this my way." "Elena," David started. "No," Elena stood, newfound determination flooding her. "Marcus is desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. We're going to give him exactly what he wants." The trap agent Morrison was furious when Elena proposed her plan, but eventually agreed. With conditions. Full FBI surveillance. Tactical team within 30 seconds. Any sign of danger, we extract you immediately. Elena had nodded, but privately she knew Marcus wouldn't fall for an obvious trap. They needed something he couldn't resist, something that would draw him out despite his survival instincts. The answer came from an unexpected source. James Mitchell, Elena's college ex-boyfriend. James had been calling since the news broke, offering support. When Elena finally answered, he'd said something that sparked an idea. "Your father's vault. The one in his old office." Marcus asked about it once when we ran into him at that charity event. He seemed obsessed with knowing what was inside. Elena had forgotten about the vault. Her father had installed it years ago, claiming it held important documents. She'd never been inside. "What's in there?" Elena asked Miss Rivera. "I don't know. Your father never told anyone. He said you'd know when to open it." Elena stared at the massive steel door in her her office. The keypad waited for a code only her father had known. Unless Elena tried her mother's birthday. Nothing. Her own birthday. Nothing. Then, on instinct, she tried the date her father had founded his company. The date he'd always said was the real beginning of his life. The vault door clicked open. The father's legacy inside the vault. Elena found something that made her gasp. Not money or jewels, but files. Hundreds of files documenting decades of business dealings, including a thick folder labeled Marcus Thornton Insurance. Elena's hands shook as she opened it. Inside were documents dating back 5 years before she'd even met Marcus. Her father had investigated him from the very beginning, background checks revealing Marcus's failed businesses, photos of him with Sophia from 3 years before he'd accidentally met Elena at that charity gala. Email chains showing Marcus researching Elena's inheritance, calculating her worth before their first date. "He knew everything," Elena whispered. "My father knew Marcus was targeting me from the start." David read over her shoulder. Then why didn't he stop it? Miss Rivera found a letter sealed with her father's company seal. Maybe this will explain. Elena opened it with trembling fingers. "My dearest Elena, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and Marcus Thornton has shown his true colors. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from the pain, but I needed you to learn this lesson the hard way. The world is full of predators like Marcus. Beautiful smiles hiding ugly intentions. I could have exposed him from the beginning, could have forced you to leave him. But you wouldn't have believed me. You would have thought I was just being an overprotective father. So instead, I protected you another way. Every document you signed, every trust I created, every asset I held, they were all designed to let Marcus think he was winning, while ensuring you could never truly lose. I knew you were strong enough to survive his betrayal. I just needed you to know it, too. The files in this vault contain everything you need to destroy Marcus Thornton completely. Not just legally, but professionally, socially, in every way that matters to a man like him. Use them when you're ready. I love you. I believe in you, and I'm sorry I couldn't stay long enough to see you become the woman I always knew you'd be. Dad Elena's tears fell onto the letter, smudging the ink. Her father had known, had watched her fall in love with Marcus, had stood at her wedding, had said nothing, because he knew she needed to be strong enough to save herself. There's more, David said, pulling out additional folders. Investment records, business dealings, connections to organized crime. Marcus wasn't just a con artist. He was laundering money for some very dangerous people. Which means, Miss Rivera said slowly, his escape wasn't just about you. He's running from them too. If they think he's compromised their operations, they'll kill him, Elena finished. He's not just dangerous now. He's desperate to disappear, and I'm the only person who can identify all his offshore accounts. Debate Elena's plan was simple, but risky. She would leak information through a controlled source, a journalist Marcus trusted, someone who'd covered his success story in the past. The story would claim Elena had found additional files in her father's vault, files proving Marcus had hidden assets worth over $20 million. Assets Elena was about to turn over to the FBI. He'll come for you, Agent Morrison warned. The moment he hears about those files, he'll try to stop you. I know. That's the point. Elena, this man has already proven he's violent. He's cornered, desperate, and he's recruited help. This isn't a game. I'm not playing a game. Elena's voice was steel. I'm ending one. The article went live at 8 a.m. By noon, Elena's security detail reported 3 separate attempts to breach her building security. By evening, her team had intercepted 5 different hired men attempting to reach her. Marcus was making his move. The confrontation Elena sat in her father's office, the vault door open behind her, files spread across the desk. She wore a wire, had FBI tactical teams on every floor, and David stationed in the next room with building security override codes. The sun was setting when her office door opened. No break-in, no dramatic entrance. Marcus walked in using a key card that should have been deactivated. He looked different, thinner, unshaven, eyes carrying the wild desperation of a hunted animal. But he still moved with that confident stride, still wore that charming smile. Elena, you look well. You look terrible. Marcus laughed, closing the door behind him. Prison orange wasn't my color. But then, you know that already, don't you? Since you put me there. You put yourself there the moment you decided to steal from me. Steal? Marcus moved closer, and Elena forced herself not to retreat. I was your husband. We shared everything. We shared nothing. You took everything. Well, now I'm taking something back. Marcus pulled out a gun, small, black, terrifyingly real. Those files. Where are they? Elena's heart hammered, but she kept her voice steady. The FBI has copies of everything. I don't believe you. Your father was old school. He wouldn't have digitized his insurance files. So where are the originals? Right here. Elena gestured to the desk. Take them. They're yours. Marcus's eyes narrowed. That easy? I don't need them anymore, Marcus. I've already won. Your accounts are frozen, your partners have turned on you, and every law enforcement agency in the country is looking for you. Those files won't change anything. They'll give me leverage. Something to trade for immunity. They'll get you killed. Elena stood, moving around the desk slowly. The people you were laundering money for, they know you're compromised. They know you kept records. The moment you try to use those files, they'll eliminate you. Marcus's hand trembled slightly. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your phone. The encrypted message you received an hour ago, the one from your Russian investor, that wasn't from your partner. That was from me, confirming you'd take the bait and come here. Elena watched the realization dawn on Marcus's face. She'd played him. Again. The FBI isn't here for you, Marcus. They're here to protect me from you. But your real problem is waiting downstairs. 3 men from the Volkov organization. They've been tracking you since you escaped, waiting for you to surface. You're lying, am I? Look out the window. Marcus moved to the window, guns still trained on Elena. Below, 3 dark SUVs were parked with men in dark suits standing beside them. I gave them a choice, Elena said quietly. Let me turn you over to the FBI, or let them handle you themselves. I told them where you'd be and when. What they do next is up to them. Marcus spun back to face her, gun shaking now. You wouldn't. You're not a killer. You're right, I'm not. Elena's voice was calm, deadly. But I'm not going to stop them either. You destroyed my life, Marcus. Stole my money, betrayed my trust, tried to erase everything my father built. So now I'm giving you the same choice you gave me. Lose everything and live with it. Or don't live at all. The choice, the office door burst open. Not FBI, but the men from the Volkov organization. 3 of them, moving with professional precision. Marcus aimed his gun at them, then at Elena, panicking. Stay back. Mr. Thornton, the lead man said in a heavy Russian accent, you have something that belongs to us. $20 million moved through our accounts without permission. I'll pay it back. I just need time. We're done with time. We're done with you. Marcus turned the gun back on Elena. Tell them to leave. Tell them or all. You'll what? Elena asked. Kill me? Then you lose your only leverage. The FBI will storm in here, and the Volkov organization will ensure you never see trial. I loved you, Marcus said desperately. It wasn't all fake. In the beginning, I really don't. Elena's voice cracked for the first time. Don't you dare try to rewrite history now. You targeted me, manipulated me, and destroyed me. The only thing you love is yourself. The Russian stepped forward. Enough talk. Mr. Thornton, you come with us. We have questions about our money. Marcus's eyes darted between them, searching for escape. Elena saw the exact moment he made his decision. He lowered the gun. I'll go with the FBI, Marcus said quietly. I'll take my chances with them. Agent Morrison entered then, FBI tactical team behind her. Marcus Thornton, you're under arrest for escape from federal custody, attempted murder, and violation of your bail conditions. As they cuffed him, Marcus looked at Elena one last time. I could have made you happy, you know, if you'd just been less difficult. Elena felt a laugh bubble up, bitter, exhausted, but genuine. No, Marcus, you couldn't have. Because you never saw me as a person, just a target, and that was always going to be your downfall. They led him away. The Russian men watched, then turned to Elena. Mrs. Thornton, we have business to discuss. No, we don't. Elena met his gaze steadily. The 20 million Marcus stole from you? Check your accounts. It's been returned with interest. The man's eyebrows rose. How did you? My father's files included all of Marcus's offshore accounts, every password, every transaction. I couldn't let the FBI have them because then I couldn't control what happened to the money. But I could transfer it back to you. Why? Because this wasn't about money. It was about justice. Marcus hurt me, but he stole from you. The money should go back to its rightful owners, even if those owners are criminals. Elena smiled slightly, though I'd appreciate it if we could pretend this conversation never happened. The Russian studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Your father was a smart man. He raised smart daughter. We will have no further business together. Good. They left. Agent Morrison looked at Elena with an expression somewhere between admiration and exasperation. You returned $20 million to the Russian mob. I returned stolen property to its rightful owners. What they do with it isn't my concern. That's not how the law works. But it's how justice works. Elena began gathering her father's files. Marcus hurt a lot of people. I couldn't make it right for everyone, but I could make it right for them. 6 months later, Elena stood in the rebuilt offices of Marsh Architecture, looking out over Manhattan. The company was thriving. 3 major projects, a team of 40 designers, her name on the door. Marcus was serving 15 years in federal prison. Sophia had taken a plea deal for 12 years. The FBI had recovered most of Elena's stolen money. And what they hadn't recovered, Elena had replaced through her own work. She'd bought the penthouse from the seized assets, then sold it, and used the money to start a foundation supporting women escaping abusive relationships. The building where she'd been betrayed now housed offices for lawyers, therapists, and job counselors helping women rebuild their lives. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. David entered, carrying coffee and a familiar smile. Thought you could use this. You've been working straight through lunch again. Deadline for the Hudson Project. Elena took the coffee gratefully. Over the past 6 months, David had become more than an ally. He'd become a friend. Then something more. Someone who understood betrayal, who knew what it meant to rebuild from nothing. They'd taken it slow. Coffee meetings that became dinners. Dinners that became weekend walks. Walks that became the comfortable intimacy of 2 people who'd survived their own wars and found peace in each other. There's something I need to show you, David said, pulling out his phone. Remember Sophia's other victims? The women she and Marcus scammed before you? Elena nodded. The FBI had reached out to 9 other women, helping them recover what they could. They want to meet you. They're forming a support group, calling it the Survivors Network. They want you to speak at their first meeting. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. They want me to speak? You're the one who stopped them, the one who fought back successfully. You're their hero, Elena. Hero. Elena had never felt like a hero. She'd felt like a victim who got lucky, who had resources others didn't. But maybe that was the point, using those resources to help others. I'll do it, Elena said. When is it? Next week. And there's something else. David pulled out a small jewelry box. I know it's fast. I know we're both still healing. But I also know that life is short and unpredictable, and when you find someone who makes you want to try again. Elena's breath caught. David, I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. He opened the box, revealing a simple silver bracelet. But I'm asking if you'll let me be there, not to save you, you don't need saving, just to stand beside you while we both figure out what comes next. Elena took the bracelet with shaking hands. It was engraved with a single word: together. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'd like that." The final victory the evening of the Survivors Network meeting, Elena stood before 12 women who'd lost money, lost trust, lost years of their lives to people like Marcus and Sophia. "I'm not going to tell you it gets easier," Elena said. "I'm not going to promise that one day you'll wake up and the pain will be gone. But I will tell you this: you are stronger than you think." She looked around the room, seeing herself reflected in their faces. We trusted people who didn't deserve it. We loved people who didn't love us back. And we survived. That's not weakness, that's strength. Every day you choose to keep going, every time you refuse to let them define you, that's a victory. A woman in the front row, Sarah, who'd lost her business to Sophia 3 years ago, spoke up. "How do you trust again? How do you open yourself to love after something like this?" Elena thought of David, waiting outside, of the slow, careful way they'd built something real from the wreckage of their past relationships. "You start small," Elena said. "You trust yourself first. You believe in your own judgment again. And then, very carefully, you let someone prove they deserve your trust. Not through words or grand gestures, but through consistent actions over time." "What if we can't?" another woman asked. "What if we're too broken?" "You're not broken." Elena's voice was firm. "You were shattered deliberately by people who needed you to believe you were weak. But shattered things can be made whole again. Different than before, with visible cracks, but stronger for having survived." After the meeting, women lined up to thank her, to share their stories, to ask for advice. Elena listened to each one, offering what help she could. As she finally left the building, David was waiting by the car. "How was it?" "Harder than I expected. Easier than I feared." Elena took his hand. "They're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. I never doubted it." They drove back to Elena's apartment, not the penthouse where she'd been betrayed, but a new place she'd chosen herself, smaller, warmer, filled with things that mattered to her rather than things meant to impress others. As Elena prepared for bed, she looked at her father's letter framed on her nightstand. The letter that had explained everything, that had shown her she'd never been as alone as she'd thought. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Thank you for everything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope someday you'll believe that some of it was real." Elena stared at the message for a long moment. Marcus, still trying to rewrite history, still trying to make himself the victim. She deleted it without responding. Some people didn't deserve a reply, didn't deserve space in her head or her heart. The best revenge wasn't responding to their attempts to stay relevant. The best revenge was living well, building something beautiful from the ashes they'd tried to leave her in. Loving again, trusting again, becoming stronger than they'd ever imagined she could be. Elena turned off her phone and climbed into bed. Tomorrow she had a site visit for the Hudson Project. Next week she had dinner with potential investors. Next month the Survivors Network wanted her to speak at a conference. She had a life. A real life. One she'd built herself from the ground up. One no one could take from her, because it was built on truth instead of lies, on self-worth instead of external validation. As she drifted off to sleep, Elena thought about the girl she'd been 3 years ago, the one who'd believed in fairy tale romance and perfect love. That girl had died in the penthouse the night she discovered the truth. But someone stronger had risen from those ashes. Someone who understood that real love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect moments. It was about finding someone who saw your scars and chose to stay anyway. Someone who understood that the best revenge wasn't destroying your enemies, it was refusing to let them destroy you. Elena Marsh had been betrayed, stolen from, and nearly broken. But she'd survived. More than survived, she'd thrived. And that, in the end, was the ultimate payback. Epilogue. 1 year later, Elena stood at the altar. But this time she wore a simple cream dress instead of... This time the guest list was small. People who'd earned their place through loyalty instead of obligation. David stood across from her gray suit, genuine smile. None of the calculated charm Marcus had used. Just honest love from someone who'd survived his own betrayal and understood what it meant to choose trust again. "You sure about this?" he whispered as the music began. "Completely," Elena smiled. "Are you? Never been more sure of anything." The ceremony was short, personal, nothing like the elaborate production her first wedding had been. This time, Elena wrote her own vows instead of using traditional words. This time, she looked into her partner's eyes and spoke from her heart. "I promise to trust you, but also to trust myself. I promise to love you, but also to love myself enough not to lose who I am. I promise to build a life with you, but one where we both stand as equals, neither of us saving the other, just both of us choosing each other every day." David's vows were equally honest. "I promise to earn your trust daily, not demand it. I promise to respect your strength instead of trying to diminish it. I promise to stand beside you, not in front of you, and to